Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana Monatira Vanachari Monatira Vanachari Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
महाराज की जय। मुज्ञानवृन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादां सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमामि मिष्टपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। नमो मिष्टपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिसिद्धान्त सरस्वती नामिने। श्रीवासवानवी देवी दयिताय कृपाब्धये कृष्णसम्बन्ध विज्ञान दायिने प्रभवे नमः। माधुर्योज्ज्वल प्रेमाढ्य श्रीरूपानुगभक्तिदा श्रीगौरा करुणाशक्ति विग्रहाय नमोस्तुते। नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्रीमूर्ते दीनतारिणे रूपानुगा विरुद्धाप सिद्धान्तद्वान्तहारिणे। नमो गौरकिशोराय साक्षाद्वैराग्यमूर्ते विप्रलम्बारसाम्बोधे पादाम्बुजाय ते नमः। नमो भक्तिविनोदाय सच्चिदानन्दनामिने गौरशक्ते स्वरूपाय रूपानुगावराय ते गौराविर्भावभूमेस्त्वं निर्देशा सज्जनप्रियः वैष्णवसार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथाय ते नमः। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरतिशे नमः। पंचतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। जयतां सुरतोर्पङ्गुः मामन्दमतेर्गति मत्सर्वस्वापदाम्भोजौ राधामदनमोहन दिव्यवृन्दारण्यकल्पद्रुमालः श्रीमद्रत्नागारसिंहासनस्थौ श्रीमद्राधा श्रीलगोविन्ददेवो हृष्टादिभिः सेव्यमानो स्मरामि। श्रीमान् रासरसारम्भी वंशीवटजटस्थितः कर्षं वेणुसनेर्गोपी गोपीनाथः श्रीयस्पुनः तत्त्वकांक्षण गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। So we are in the 9th chapter. 9th chapter is nothing but we have the descriptions of Vaikuntha and also Brahma having darshan of Krishna and Vaikuntha, and Krishna speaking to him the Chatushloki Bhagavatam. So Krishna Brahma Samvad is found in this particular chapter. before this happens, two questions asked by Narada to Brahma in the 8th chapter, they are answered. If you see the 8th chapter, text number 7, question asked by Parishit Maharaj is like this. Yad adhatumato brahman deharambasya dhatuvihi yadrichaya hetunava bhavanto jnate yatha. So Narada asked Brahma, Yad adhatumato brahman. The living entity is adhatu, means it doesn't have any material covering. But the same living entity, deharambasya dhatuvihi, at the beginning of means it accepts a body which is made up of dhatus, Panchamahabhutas or three dhatus. Now, is this connection of the living entity with matter, is this yadrichaya? Is it by chance? Va hetuna, is it by some cause? What is the cause behind it? Means, in another sense, what is the reason of the condition of the living entity? How the living entity, even though it is transcendental, got bound with the material nature. Living entity is transcendental to matter, but still it got bound. How can inferior Maya has the capacity to bind the soul which is of superior energy? And then the second question asked in the next verse is Asija Udarat Padmam Lokasamsthana Lakshanam. Asi, the Lord Brahma, was born Udarat Padmam. Udarat means from the stomach of navel of Vishnu. Lotus flower came, from that Brahma was sitting. Yavanayam Yam Purushaha Itha Avayavaihi Prataka. That what is the difference between the body of Brahma and body of Vishnu? So I want to know about the distinction between these two bodies. So these two questions are first answered. And the experience of Brahma is described in the 9th verse. So 9th chapter, first verse, answers the first question. Or first 3 verses answer the first question. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, first verse. Atmayamrite rajan parasya anubhavatmanah na kate artha sambandha swapna drashtur ivanjasa. Actually, my dear Sukadeva Goswami starts saying this. He says, Oh Parikshit, Atmamayam Rite Rajan Parasya Anubhavatmanaha. Atmamaya means here Atmamaya refers to Mahamaya. So this Atmaya is something different from the living entity. And the living entity has nothing to do with the body and the senses. And the Atmamaya or the material nature, Maya, it doesn't have the power to bind the soul. Isn't the power to bind the soul? Why? Because Parasya, because it is transcendental. It is belonging to superior energy. So don't blame Maya for our bondage. Maya, why are you bound me? No, don't bind me. Don't blame Maya. And also, not only it is Parasya, it is transcendental. It is conscious. It is Anubhavatmanaha. Na ghate artaha sambandha. So there is no sambandha, there is no relationship with it. Like Swapna drashtu nivartyasana. Like somebody is seeing a dream. What is what with the dream? Nothing. He is seeing it, that is a different thing, but it is nothing to do with the dream. Now then the question arises, how is it that we are bound? What is the reason? What is the cause of our bondage? There is only one reason, that is the desire of the Lord. Krishna, by his inconceivable energies, make the impossible possible. The impossible possible. That is how Krishna is Supreme Lord. He makes the impossible possible. What is impossible? Maya has no power to bind the living entity. But by the inconceivable energy and the Lord's desire, then this happens. Read the purport. Translation and purport.
Translation. Shri Sukadeva Goswami said, O King, unless one is influenced by the supreme energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no meaning to the relationship of the pure soul in pure consciousness with the material body. That relationship is just like a dreamer seeing his own body working. Purport. Maharaj corrects his question as to how a living entity became his material life. Although he is apart from the material body and mind, is perfectly answered. The spirit soul is distinct from the material conception of his life, but he is absorbed in such a material conception because of being influenced by the external energy of the Lord called Atma Maya. This has already been explained in the first canto in connection with Vyasadev's realization of the Supreme Lord and his external energy. The external energy is controlled by the Lord and the living entities are controlled by the external energy, by the will of the Lord. Therefore, although the living entity is purely conscious, in his pure state, he is subordinate to the will of the Lord in being influenced by the external energy of the Lord. So now, the external energy influences the living entity because by the will of the Lord. So it is by the will of Krishna we are bound, and it is by the will of Krishna we will be liberated. Because it is He whose will He is making us bound. Though we are transcendental modes, we are bound by the modes. And it is by His will we will be liberated. Like you have one song written by Srila Prabhupada, Bhajan, Mar Kine Bhagavad. You have that, you remove and see, where Prabhupada says, Tava Ichha, because of your desire we are bound. It is only because your desire will be liberated. See that? Read the stanza. Maya Vashi.
Krishna's this will is due to the will of living entity, desire of living entity.
That will come next point. Hold on. Why does the Lord want to bind us? That comes. Got it? Song. Put to people. Here is a song by Prabhupada. Huh?
25 is the song.
You found? Read that stanza. Tava Ichha.
तब इच्छा होए जदि तादेरा उधार बुझीवे निश्चय तबे कथा से प्रमाण. Translation is
No, not. Maya. Tumhara Ichha. Yes. Where is that?
seven number. तब इच्छा.
तुम्हारा इच्छा है सवाय माया वास. तुम्हारा इच्छा है नाश माया का कलास. So 6th one. So Prabhupada summarized, Tava Ichha, because of your desire, everybody is under Maya. And because of your desire, so our liberation from bondage is not because of our endeavor, because of Krishna's desire. That's all. And we are bound also by Krishna's desire. Read further.
In the Bhagavad Gita 15.15, also the same thing is confirmed. The Lord is present within the heart of every living entity. And all the living entities' consciousness and forgetfulness are influenced by the Lord. Now the next question automatically made will be, why the Lord influences the living entity with such consciousness and forgetfulness?
The question. And the question is, then why the living entity is so? Read.
The answer is that the Lord clearly wishes that every living entity be in his pure consciousness as a part and parcel of the Lord, and thus be engaged in the loving service of the Lord as he constitutionally made. But because the living entity is partially independent also, he may not be willing to serve the Lord, but may try to become as independent or as the Lord is. All the non-devotee living entities are desirous of becoming equally as powerful as the Lord, although they are not fit to become so. The living entities are illusioned by the will of the Lord because they wanted to become like him. Like a person who thinks of becoming a king without possessing the necessary qualification. When the living entity desires to become the Lord himself, he is put in a condition of dreaming that he is a king. Therefore, the first sinful will of the living entity is to become the Lord. And the consequent will of the Lord is that the living entity forget his factual life and thus dream of the land of Utopia, where he may become one like the Lord. The child cries to have the moon from the mother, and the mother gives the child a mirror to satisfy the crying and disturbing child with the reflection of the moon. Similarly, the crying child of the Lord is given over to the reflection, the material world, to lord it over as karmi, and to give this up in frustration to become one with the Lord. Both these stages are dreaming illusions only. There is no necessity of tracing out the history of when the living entity desired this. But the fact is that as soon as he desired it, he was put under the control of Atma-maya by the direction of the Lord. Therefore, the living entity in his material condition is dreaming falsely that this is mine and this is I. The dream is that the conditioned soul thinks of his material body as I, or falsely thinks that he is the Lord, and that everything in connection with that material body is mine. Thus only in dream does the misconception of I and mine persist life after life. This continues life after life as long as the living entity is not purely conscious of his identity as the subordinate part and parcel of the Lord. In his pure consciousness, however, there is no such misconceived dream. And in that pure conscious state, the living entity does not forget that he is never the Lord, but that he is eternally the servitor of the Lord in transcendental love.
So, why the Lord puts the living into conditioned state? Because of great compassion. He is the one who satisfies the desires for the living entities. That is, Nityo Nityanam Chitadas Chitananam Eko Bhavanam Yo Vidhati Kaman. One who actually fulfills the desires of all living. The living entities have a desire that I want to be the Lord, and I want to be the enjoyer. I want to be the controller and I want to be the enjoyer. Then he has to give an accommodation, and this accommodation is to fulfill the desire of the living entities. And actually they are not the Lord. Actually they are not the Lord. And actually they are not the enjoyers, neither the controllers. But still they can try. So the Lord says, okay, try out. Now you say, what is on the pretext of making us try out, He is giving us so much of suffering. Yes, that suffering is also compassion of the Lord, because we are bound in this world and we are suffering in this world, and ultimately by some great fortune, if we come across with the Supreme Lord's representative, we become liberated. We get devotional service. So this whole creation is nothing but the compassion of the Lord. The living entity can never enjoy, separate from Krishna. The living entity can never control, but he has a desire. Then for that, the Lord has to give some duplicate enjoyment, duplicate controlship. As much as a child can never attend the moon, and still cries, I want the moon, I want the moon. The mother say, take the moon, and gives a mirror. Gives a mirror. She says, oh, child is very happy. And it's not the moon, it's just a mirror. That's it. Okay.
When there is pralaya and all the living entities actually into the carbon Vishnu's body, that time actually the gross body and the subtle body both are stripped off, and he actually doesn't he realize that time I am Satchidananda and I am.
He doesn't realize, but it is almost the state of liberation, because it is Shushupti. Shushupti means sleep where you don't have material miseries. But that doesn't mean there is experience of Ananda. There is no experience of Ananda. It is only like a sleep, dreamless sleep. In the dreamless state of consciousness, the gross body and subtle body both are sleeping. In the Shushupti means in the sense when the avayavas are also not there. The gross body is also not there, the subtle body is also not there. So it is as good as not functioning. No, that is only different, but the experience is the same. That is dreamless sleep. Like sometimes you say, oh nice sleep I had. So that is the state. At that time you don't even know that you exist.
And I think even the Jnanis and the yogis also,
They want to attain that.
they want to attain that.
That whole purport is about it. Aham mama now comes. Then Prabhupada talks about aham. It is actually trying to achieve that experience. Okay, next. Bahurupaiva bhati maya bahurupaya ramamano guneshwasya amaham iti vanyate. So now we have Bahurupa. So in the conditioned state, the living entity takes different rupas, different forms. Different forms. But the soul will be the same. But Iva Bhati, the soul feels, I am dog, I am man, I am woman, I am Brahma, I am this. Iva Bhati, but they are not. It's only just a feeling, that's all. Sometimes I feel so great, it's just a feeling, so it's not. I feel so good. Even if you go by the grammar and have a different understanding of it, there is only a feeling, it's not. Sometimes I feel so means what? Feel means what? It is not. It's just a feeling, that's all. If you just take the word feeling in a different context, like somebody will say, I feel so great. Just it's a feeling. You understand that it is called figure of speech. You just change a figure of speech from poetic, literary to philosophical. Get on, everything is over. So, Bahurupaiva bhati, Maya Bahurupaya. And this Maya gives different forms based on the consciousness of the conditioned soul. The soul is distinct, and the soul's consciousness is at different levels. According to the different states of consciousness, different bodies. Karanam gunasangasya sadasat yonijanmashu. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Karanam gunasangasya sad asad yonijanmashu bahurupaya and ramamano. And now these forms of different forms are he enjoys these forms. Guneshu asya mama ahamiti manyate. And he starts thinking in these two ways. I and mine. Mama means mine. And aham means I. In these two terms he starts thinking. Read translation.
The illusion living entity appears in so many forms offered by the external energy of the Lord. While enjoying in the modes of material nature, the encaged living entity misconceives thinking in terms of I and mine.
Read.
The different forms of the living entities are different dresses offered by the illusory external energy of the Lord according to the modes of nature. The living being desires to enjoy. The external material energy is represented by her three modes, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. So even in the material nature, there is a chance of an independent choice by the living entity. And according to his choice, the material energy offers him different varieties of material bodies. There are bodies, 1.1 million worms, reptiles, 1 million forms of birds. Together there are 8.4 million varieties of bodies in different planets of the universe. And the living entity is traveling by so many transmigrations according to different modes of enjoying spirit within himself. Even in one particular body, the living entity changes from childhood to boyhood, from boyhood to youth, and from youth to old age, and from old age to another body created by his own action. The living entity creates his own body by his personal desires, and the external energy of the Lord supplies him the exact form by which he can enjoy his desires to the fullest extent. The tiger wanted to enjoy the blood of another animal, and therefore, by the grace of the Lord, the material energy supplied him the body of the tiger, with facilities for enjoying blood from another animal. Similarly, a living entity desiring to get the body of a demigod in a higher planet can also get it by the grace of the Lord. And if he is intelligent enough, he can desire to get a spiritual body to enjoy the company of the Lord, and he will get it. So the minute freedom of the living entity can be fully utilized, and the Lord is so kind that he will award the living entity the same type of body he desires. The living entity's desiring is like dreaming of a golden mountain. A person knows what a mountain is, and he knows also what gold is. Out of his desire only, he dreams of golden mountain, and when the dream is over, he sees something else in his presence. He finds in his awakened state that there is neither gold nor a mountain, and what to speak of a golden mountain. The different positions of the living entities in the material world under multifarious manifestation of bodies are due to the conception of mind and I. The Karmi thinks of the world as mine, and the Jnani thinks I am everything. The whole material conception of politics, sociology, philanthropy, altruism, etc., conceived by the conditioned soul, is on the basis of this misconceived I and mine, which are products of a strong desire to enjoy material life. Identification with the body and the place where the body is obtained under different conceptions of socialism, nationalism, family affection, and so on and so forth, is all due to forgetfulness of the real nature of the living entity, and the whole misconception of the bewildered living entity can be removed by the association of Sukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit, as all this is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Now, this body what we get, or anybody gets, it is because of the grace of the Lord, mercy of the Lord. Now, whatever position we have at present is because we have desired something, and the Lord by His mercy He gave. But once you get that thing, you feel I am not happy with this body, I want another one. Another one. So Krishna fulfills your desire. God, that is mercy. Karunyam Tat Kriya. He creates all these creations is just because of the mercy of the Lord. Now if you really want, you can get a spiritual body, that's the property. And for that we just have to be associating with those who are in the path. Okay. No.
So Guruji, we can say that actually with the gross body and subtle body, we are in an anesthesia state, being because we have forgotten our...
Yeah, you can say anesthesia means...
And that anesthesia has been given by the external energy of the Lord?
No, Krishna. That is what he said. Maya has not bound you. People say, Maya ne band ke rakha hai. No, Maya has not bound you. It is the will of Krishna. That's all. Maya has no power. That is why it is Krishna's will which bound you. It is Krishna's will liberate you. That is why Mamevai prapadyante. If you go to Maya and say, please leave me, don't talk to me. Listen. Like a police has caught you. And you tell the police, please leave me. No, go to the judge. Isn't it? He gives order, then we leave. Who are we? We are only just... isn't it? Court gave order to bind you. So court only can give the order to listen. So praying to the police is no use. Maya is like that. That is why, oh Durga Devi, go and pray to Durga Devi, liberate me. He says, what I can do? You go to the boss. Yeah. We had some desire and we had the qualification for the desire, and Krishna sanctions it. It is not just desire. Desire first deserve and then desire. So when these two things come together, the Lord sanctions. So generally a person desires and try to achieve, to be qualified to achieve the desire by their karma or different upasana also. Then the Lord sanctions it. But once you attain the stage where you whatever you desire, then you say, I want something else. That is a perpetual desire to achieve something else. It goes on, continues. Like in our childhood we desired for toys, then I want something else. Then we want a motorcycle or a bicycle or something. Then we want something. I want some dresses. Got it. Then you want something else. So this way it goes on. The same way the bodies also. You got a present body. Tell me, who is happy with their own body and family, their own flat or whatever? The moment you buy a flat, okay, no, it's not something. I should have something else. Nobody is happy with their own body. They look into the mirror and say, no, I should have something else.
I'm a little confused now. Then what is the role of Mahamaya in this?
Mahamaya vilajyamana syat. We're going to discuss about this in this third verse, but still, since you asked the question. Jaya sammohiko jiva atmanan trigunaatmakam paropurute kritam chavipadyate. First Canto, 7th chapter. Vyasa's realization. Prabhupada talks about it in the first verse itself. Vyasa's realization. He starts this stuff. First Canto, 7th chapter, text number 6, 7, something like that. Text number is 5, 6, 7. Or 4, 5, 6 you can say. Bhakti yogena manasi samyak pranite amare apashyat purusham purnam atmanam chitru tadapashrayam. So when Vyasa in Bhakti Yogena Manasi, in pure love of Krishna, he saw Krishna. Apashyat Purusham Purnam, love of Krishna, Radharani, Vrindavan, Yashoda, all he saw. But he saw behind Krishna, Maya had taken shelter. Mayam Chatat Apashrayam. It is not Ashrayam, Apashrayam, behind. Then he saw the living entity. What is the condition of the living entity? Yaya sammohito jiva. By that maya, the jiva, the living entity, was bewildered. And now, paro api. If you see in the previous words, paraya, this first verse is there, para. Parasya, anubhavatmanaha. So even though para api, even though he is para, transcendental, manute, he thought. It is only a thought. It is only thinking. Paro bimanute. Even though he is transcendental, he thought that is I am under the condition. I am under the moods of nature. Tat yutam chapipatyate. Then Vyasa also saw the medicine for this disease, how to get that jiva out of anesthesia, like you told. What is that thing? That is anartha upashamanam sakshat. The real anartha is to think that I am the body. And I am the body and these three people around me are mine. Anartha upashamanam sakshat bhakti udachyate. There is no other way other than to perform bhakti. Udachyate. Lokasya vijaranto. People were not knowing. That is why Vidvans Chakre, the Vidvan Vyasa Chakre, he wrote this Bhagavatam called Sattvata Samhita. Nice to remember the whole series of verses. 4, 5, 6. What is the 7th one? What is the 7th verse? Yasyam vai shvemanayam Krishne Parapurushe Bhakti Utpattite Shokha Moha Bhayapaha. These 4 verses can be memorized. Okay, 3rd verse here. Yarhi vava mahim nisve parasmin kalamayu rameta kata sammohas tekko te ivo bhayam tado bhayam. Now, yarhi, then, or when, yarhi means when. When the living entity, the conditioned soul, what mahim means, he understands. Oh, Krishna is Supreme Lord and I am a servant. Sve resmin kalamayu. When he understands the Supreme Lord is beyond Kala and Maya, and what happens? The jiva becomes detached. Ramete gata sammoha. He gives up the attachment to the modes of nature. And then gata sammoha. He gives up all kinds of moha. And tekto daste tatha ubhayam. Both ignorance what he had, aham mama, he gives up these two. Read. Translation.
As soon as the living entity becomes situated in his constitutional glory and begins to enjoy the transcendence beyond time and material energy, he at once gives up the two misconceptions of life, I and mine, and thus becomes fully manifested as the pure self. The two misconceptions of life, namely I and mine, are verily manifested in two classes of men. In the lower state, the conception of mind is very prominent, and in the higher state, the misconception of I is prominent. In the animal state of life, the misconception of mind is perceivable even in the category of cats and dogs, who fight with one another with the same misconception of mind. In the lower stage of human life, the same misconception is also prominent in the shape of it is my body, it is my house, it is my family, it is my caste, it is my nation, it is my country, and so on. And in the higher stage of speculative knowledge, the same misconception of mind is transformed into I am, or it is all I am, etc. There are many classes of men comprehending the same misconception of I and mine in different colors, but the real significance of I can be realized only when one is situated in the consciousness of I am the eternal servant of the Lord. This is pure consciousness, and the whole Vedic literatures teach us this conception of life. The misconception of I am the Lord or I am the Supreme is more dangerous than the misconception of mind. Although there are sometimes direction in the Vedic literatures to think oneself one with the Lord, that does not mean that one becomes identical with the Lord in every respect. Undoubtedly, there is oneness of the living entity with the Lord in many respects, but ultimately the living entity is subordinate to the Lord and is constitutionally meant for satisfying the senses of the Lord. The Lord therefore asked the conditioned soul to surrender unto Him. Had the living entities not been subordinate to the Supreme Will, why would the living entity be asked to surrender? Had the living being been equal in all respects, then why was he put under the influence of mind? We have already discussed many times that the material energy is controlled by the Lord. The Bhagavad Gita 9.10 confirms this controlling power of the Lord over the material nature. Can a living entity who claims to be as good as the Supreme Being control the material nature? The foolish I would reply that he will do so in the future. Even accepting that in the future one will be as good a controller of material nature as the Supreme Being, then why is one now under the control of material nature? The Bhagavad Gita says that one can be free from the control of material nature by surrendering unto the Supreme Lord. But if there is no surrender, then the living entity will never be able to control the material nature. So one must also give up the misconception of I by practicing the way of devotional service or firmly being situated in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. A poor man without any employment or occupation may undergo so many troubles in life, but if by chance the same man gets a good service under the government, he at once becomes happy. There is no profit in denying the supremacy of the Lord, who is the controller of all energies, but one should be constitutionally situated in one's own glory, namely to be situated in the pure consciousness of being the eternal servitor of the Lord. In his conditioned life, the living entity is servant of the illusory mind, and in the liberated state, he is the pure, unqualified servant of the Lord. To become untied by modes of material nature is the qualification for entering into the service of the Lord. As long as one is a servant of mental functions, one cannot be completely free from the disease of I and mind. The Supreme Truth is uncontaminated by the illusory energy because he is the controller of that energy. The relative truths are up to be engrossed in illusory energy. The best purpose is served. However, when one is directly facing the Supreme Truth, as when one faces the sun overhead in the sky is full of light. But when the sun is not in the visible sky, all is in darkness. Similarly, when one is face to face with the Supreme Lord, he is freed from all illusion. And one who is not so is in the darkness of illusory mind. The Bhagavad Gita 14.26 confirms this as follows. So the science of Bhakti Yoga of worshipping the Lord, glorifying the Lord, hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam from the right source, not from the professional man, but from a person who is Bhagavatam in life, and being always in the association of pure devotees, should be adopted in earnestness. One should not be misled by misconception of I and mind. The karmis are fond of the conception of mind, and the jnanis are fond of the conception of I, and both of them are unqualified to be free from the bondage of the illusory energy. Srimad Bhagavatam and primarily the Bhagavad Gita are both meant for delivering a person from the misconception of I and mind, and Srila Vyasdev translated them for the deliverance of the fallen souls. The living entity has to be situated in the transcendental position where there is no more influence of time nor of the material energy. In conditioned life, the living entity is subjected to the influence of time in the dream of past, present and future. The mental speculator tries to conquer the influence of time by future speculations of becoming Vasudeva or the Supreme Lord himself by means of cultural knowledge and conquering over ego, but the process is not perfect. The perfect process is to accept Lord Vasudeva as the Supreme in everything. The best perfection is cultural knowledge is to surrender unto Him, because He is the source of everything. Only in that conception can one get rid of the misconception of I and mine. Both Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam confirm it. Srila Vyasdeva has specifically contributed to the illusion, living entity, the science of God, and the process of Bhakti Yoga in his great literature Srimad Bhagavatam. And the conditioned soul should fully take advantage of this great science.
What does this mean, conquering over the ego? Because they're not really conquering over the ego at all. In fact, the ego seems even more inflated because ignorance has lower. So what does this mean?
Conquering over the ego means to come to our original ego, that is the servant of Krishna. So by the influence of hearing, Shravanam Kirtanam.
No, I'm talking in the sense of, because here they are referring to future speculations of becoming Vasudeva. So these are the Gyanis. So they're saying Lord himself by means of culturing knowledge and conquering over ego.
Read the word line again.
The mental speculator tries to conquer the influence of time by future speculations of becoming Vasudeva or the Supreme Lord himself by means of cultural knowledge and conquering over ego.
So these people, the Jnanis, what they try to do is, by their own strength, they try to surpass the material nature. Okay. Now here the ego means ahankara. So what is the meaning of why ahankara? What is the cause of our bondage in this world? Ahankara. So they try to conquer. Ego means try to get liberated. Try to get liberated. Now they worship Vasudeva, and then they think that I am Vasudeva. They worship Vasudeva, and ultimately what is the destination? What they want to become? They want, I am God. And for that they do a kind of devotion. What is the devotion? Ultimately to become God. So it is like climbing the stairs, and after you climb, I don't require the stairs, I will give it up. So that is the meaning. Conquering ego means becoming liberated. So though they have aimed to become liberated, and for them liberation is what? Merging with God. So I am, aham mama. Mama has been described there. Aham is been described. Aham means I am God. Aham Brahmasmi. So for them, conquering ego means
Material designations.
Material designations. To give up all the material designations. And come to the designation of what? I am God. That's right.
So in the real sense, they're not conquering the ego.
They cannot. They cannot. Okay.
So this I and mind is telling that the lower, especially lower form, the human life also lower form, we are more caught up with mind. That and I is for the higher human form. So that means that same thing. I am Brahmasmi.
I am Brahmasmi.
So this is another trap.
Other trap. Atmadattavishuddhyartham yadaha bhagavan vritam brahmane darshayan rupam vyadika patatuta. Now there is a question asked by Parikshit Maharaj to Sukadeva, by Narada to Brahma, that what is the difference between Brahma's body and the Parikshit Maharaj asked this question, sorry, Sukadeva Goswami. Difference in Brahma's body and the Supreme Lord's body. So that is what is described. Atma Tattva Vishuddhyartham. Atma Tattva means the truth regarding the relationship between the Supreme Lord and the living entity. That is called Atma Tattva. Self-realization cannot be without God realization. God realization cannot be without self-realization, because the self, the soul is connected to God eternally. Like the sun rises in the east. Whole night it was dark. Neither you could see the sun nor yourself. But when sun rises, you can see both. So self-realization and God realization happens simultaneously. And this knowledge of Atma Tattva has been described by Bhagavan. Aha Bhagavan. Whom did he speak to? Brahmane darshan rupam. He spoke to Brahma by giving darshan of his rupa. Brahma could see the form. Why? Because Brahma did avyalika vratadrataha. He performed a great vrata, devotional vrata.
Translation. O King, the personality of Godhead, being very much pleased with Lord Brahma because of his non-deceptive penance in Bhakti Yoga, presented his eternal and transcendental form before Brahma, and that is the objective goal for purifying the conditioned soul. Purport. Atma Tattva is the science of both God and the living entity. Both the Supreme Lord and living entity are known as Atma. The Supreme Lord is called Paramatma. The living entity is called the Atma, the Brahma or the Jiva. Both the Paramatma and Jivatma, being transcendental to material energy, are called Atma. So Shukdev Goswami explains this verse with the aim of purifying the truth of both the Paramatma and the Jivatma. Generally, people have many wrong conceptions about both of them. The wrong conception of the Jivatma is to identify the material body with the pure soul, and the wrong conception of Paramatma is to take him on an equal level with the living entity. But both misconceptions can be removed by one stroke of Bhakti Yoga. Just as in the sunlight, both the sun and the world and everything within the sunlight are properly seen. In the darkness, one cannot see the sun, nor himself, nor the world. But in sunlight, one can see the sun himself and the world around him. Srila Shukadeva Goswami therefore says that for purification of both wrong conceptions, the Lord presented his eternal form before Brahmaji, being fully satisfied by Brahma's non-deceptive vow of discharging Bhakti Yoga. Except for Bhakti Yoga, any method for realization of Atma Tattva or the science of Atma will prove deceptive in the long run. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that only by Bhakti Yoga can one know Him perfectly, and then one can enter into the science of God. Brahmaji undertook great penance in performing Bhakti Yoga, and thus he was able to see the transcendental form of the Lord. His transcendental form is 100% spiritual, and one can see Him only by spiritualized vision after proper discharge of tapasya or penance in pure Bhakti Yoga. The form of the Lord manifested before Brahma is not one of the forms with which we have experience in the material world. Brahmaji did not perform such severe types of penance just to see the form of material production. Therefore, the question by Maharaj Parikshit about the form of the Lord is answered. The form of the Lord is Satchidananda, or eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. But the material form of the living being is is neither eternal, nor full of knowledge, nor blissful. That is the distinction between the form of the Lord and that of the conditioned soul. The conditioned soul, however, can regain his form, eternal knowledge and bliss simply by seeing the Lord by means of Bhakti Yoga. The summary is that due to ignorance, the conditioned soul is engaged in the temporary varieties of the material forms. But the Supreme Lord has no such temporary form like the conditioned souls. He is always possessed of an eternal form of knowledge and bliss, and that is the difference between the Lord and the living entity. One can understand this difference by the process of Bhakti Yoga. Brahma was then told by the Lord that these from Srimad Bhagavatam in 4 original verses. Thus, Srimad Bhagavatam is not a creation of mental speculators. The sound of Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental, and the results of Srimad Bhagavatam is as good as that of the Vedas. Thus, the topic of the Srimad Bhagavatam is the science of both the Lord and the living entity. Regular reading of or hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam is also performance of Bhakti Yoga, and one can attain the highest perfection simply by the association of Srimad Bhagavatam. Both Shukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit attained perfection through the medium of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Okay. Next.
Prabhuji, this non-deceptive Bhakti Yoga, could you just elaborate that? You perform non-deceptive.
Non-deceptive Bhakti Yoga. Read the full line.
In translation also it comes, purport also says.
Yeah.
The personality of Godhead being very much pleased with Lord Brahma because of his non-deceptive penance in Bhakti Yoga.
Avyalikam. Whenever you see the words in translation, go to the Mula. Find that word in the verse. Avyalika Dridav Vrataha. Isn't it? See the word, meaning of the word Avyalika.
Without any deceptive motive.
Without any deceptive motive. Now you got it. What is? Mam cha yo avyavicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityeta. That means without mixture of jnana and karma. Without any ulterior motives. Anyavirahita shunyam avyalika anyavirahita. That devotion. When you find some translations and words, that is why I read the Mula first and try to make a translation from reading the Mula verse. Then you will have a better understanding of what is being spoken. Next. Sadidevo jagatam paro guru Svadesh-nyanastaya sushekshayikasha Annākyadivacca drishamatra sammatam Prapancha nirmāna videbhyaya bhave. Sa Adideva, that Brahma. Sa means that Brahma, to whom Krishna had spoken Bhagavatam to, who is Adideva. He is the Lord of all the demigods. Jagatam Paro Guru. He is the Lord of the entire world, the Guru of the entire world. Somehow, or Brahma. We say Brahma, another person. We don't have much regards to Brahma. Not many temples. No, so you say, oh, Brahma, another person. He is our Acharya. He is our Mool Acharya. We have no regard. We don't have regards. We don't bother him. Brahma, okay. What is the Sampradaya? Brahma is the Gaudiya Sampradaya. We say, but Brahma is Brahma. Maybe he's in the management, that's why. So his glory of being a devotee is not recognized. Sadideva Jagatam Paro Guru, and he was sitting Swadishyan Asthaya, was sitting in his own abode. Why he was thinking of Sisikshaya, he was to create. But tam na adigachat trisham atra sammatam. He was not able to understand what to do, which direction. He had no knowledge of like which he could create the universe. Prapancha nirmana vidirgya bhavet. And then he was just thinking of how to create, can't create it. Okay, read the translation only, not the purport.
So, why did he have desire of creation? Because
he is a Gunavatar of the Lord. What is the Gunavatar's work? Brahma is passion. So he has passion and he has to do something. He is actually the Lord of passion. It's not just passion. It's not influenced by passion. But he is a Gunavatar. So he's been there in the post because he is the Shakti Avesh Avatar of the Supreme Lord for creation. So he thinks of that. That is why he was born, made to. And it is his work for every day morning when he gets up. And he has been doing for so many years. This morning also when he woke up, Brahma, same thing. Because he has been doing it for 50 years. 51st year of Brahma. 50 years, imagine. 365 into 50. How much it is? How much it is? 350, 365 into 50. It is like 1,700 and something, 800, something like that. Every day? Don't know that? Every day he does. No. Every day he does. Every Kalpa he does. 18,000 times he has done. And again he forgets. And every day in the morning, this is what happens. That is Suprabhatam. Oh, I want to create, I don't know how to create. Please, Lord, do. And every time the Lord does the same thing in a different way. He gives the Veda, he gives this thing. The Kalpa Veda is that. Is why it's creation.
So every day Brahma forgets.
Yes. Every day. Yeah, every day he forgets.
Actually long duration.
Long duration. Not because of long duration, some Asura comes and he steals the knowledge. Read the translation.
But only here, knowledge is generally we say nobody can steal knowledge. I mean, wealth can be stolen, but knowledge can never be stolen. So, how do we understand?
Yeah, knowledge can only be stolen by uncontrolled senses. Uncontrolled senses, they steal the knowledge. Maya. And in one sense, we should not say stolen, covers. Maya covers. So when you become Krishna conscious, then Maya uncovers knowledge. That words from the Upadesh, from Bhadrari Subhashinari, is talking about the material knowledge. Material knowledge, it increases every time you give. And you are sleeping. The prasanga is that when you are sleeping, thieves come and steal your property, wealth. So wealth has chaura bhaya. And you are very famous. Then somebody will go to criticize. So you have fear from criticism. If you are famous. And if you have some post, you have fear from your... Because they are all external. That is why they have the fear of losing them. Knowledge is something which you always have in your consciousness. So that...
But these days, material knowledge can become obsolete, outdated.
Yeah, that is why don't pursue it. That is why even if you want material knowledge, you get that material knowledge which Krishna has given in the Vedas. That is eternal. How the body functions, as described in Ayurveda, is eternal. But if you study allopathy, then every year too much. Every week they say different things. Regarding Corona, how many stories came? Sometimes they say they are waterborne. Sometimes they know they not airborne. Sometimes they say airborne.
All the theories proven to be wrong.
And they said the size of the, what is it? Virus. You see, if you prepare wearing mask, the size, at least 15 viruses standing in one line can enter. You will do the calculation. Master. They can come out also and go out also peacefully, but there is large amount. And we idiots, we wear mask and then go around. And the same newspaper say put mask, next to that the size of the virus is given. Count it. And if you put a mask in which the virus is don't enter, you suffocate and die. Yeah. So Krishna gave the science. He gave the science he gave the material science. So that material science never changes because Krishna created matter and he knows how the matter functions. Even if you want to have material science, learn from there. That is why there is no point in sending our children to the schools and colleges and these things. They just come out of idiots, come out as idiots and so on. Okay. Next. Read the translation.
Lord Brahma, the first spiritual master, supreme in the universe, could not trace out the source of his lotus seed, and while thinking of creating the material world, he could not understand the proper direction for such creative work, nor could he find out the process for such creation.
Now he was thinking, where is it? How to create. Sachintayan vyaksharam ekam vasa upashunotver kaditam vacho vibhu seshu yatshodashameva vincham niskinchananam vipayattanam vidu. So when he was Sachintayan, in this way he contemplated how can I create? Then he heard Vyaksharam, here 2 syllables. Actually he went bottom to the lotus stem. Ekada, one day he went down to bottom. Ambhasya, there was water there. Because naval is washing, water is there, that Garbhasagara here. Upashrunot, he heard. Virkaditam macho vibhuhu. He heard 2 syllables. Sparsheshu yat shodasham ekavimsham. Sparsheshu means in the consonants, ka, 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 like that. The 16th alphabet, shodasham, and the 21st alphabet, that is Ta and Ha. And then he heard Nishkinchananam Nipayadhanam Viduhu. Then these 2 syllables put together, Tapa, is the only wealth of those who don't have wealth. Nishkinchana means those who don't have wealth. Nipayadhanam Viduhu. Only power king. People know that this is the wealth of those who don't have wealth. So read the translation purport.
Sparsha alphabet.
Sparsha, consonants. There are two kinds of alphabets. That is sparsha. They are vowels and consonants. Read the translation purport.
While thus engaged in thinking in the water, Brahmaji heard voice from nearby two syllables joined together. One of the syllables was taken from the 16th and the other from the 21st of the Sparsha alphabets, and both joined to become the wealth of the renounced order of life.
Purport.
In Sanskrit language, the consonants alphabets are divided into two divisions, namely the Sparsh Varnas and the Tadav Varnas. From Ka to Ma, the letters are known as the Sparsh Varnas. The 16th of the group is called Ta.
All of you know the Varnas? Pakka? Forgotten? We remember A, B, C, D, but not we don't know all these Varnas. Many devotees don't know.
I think here everyone will.
You tell all. No, full from Let me see how you pronounce properly. Not with the mask. Remove the mask. The corona effect. It's in Telugu. It's not in. Ru is there. Ru is not there. Yeah. Three. Ya, Ra, La, Wa. You tell all the three. Next three. There is Sha, Sha, Sa. One is Sha, means the whole air comes out. Then you touch the tongue to the upper part. Sha. That is Shashanka, Sha, Shashi, like that. And then Sa, Sankir, Sa, Sa, Re, Ga, Sa. That is touching the tip of the tongue to the teeth. Sha, Sha, Sa. If you're able to get these three, then you're okay. Become a part of the Pandita.
So when they are joined together, the word tapa or penance is constructed. This penance is the beauty and wealth of the Brahmanas and the renounced order of life. According to Bhagavad philosophy, every human being is meant simply for this tapa and for no other business, because by penance only can one realize itself. And self-realization, not self-gratification, is the business of human life. This tapa or penance was derived from the very beginning of the creation. It was first adopted by the Supreme Spiritual Master, God Brahma. But only can one get the profit of human life, and not by a polished civilization of animal life. The animal does not know anything except sense gratification in the jurisdiction of eat, drink, be merry, and enjoy. But the human being is made to undergo tapasya for going back to God and back home. When Lord Brahma was perplexed about how to construct the manifestations in the universe and went down in water to find out the means and the source of his lotus seed, he heard the word tapa vibrated twice. Taking the path of tapa is the second birth of the desiring disciple. The word upashna is very significant. It is similar to upanayana, or bringing the disciple nearer to the spiritual master for the path of tapa. So Brahmaji was initiated by Lord Krishna, and this fact is corroborated by Brahmaji himself.
What is the connection between initiation and tapasya? I hope all of you are initiated.
He started doing tapasya under the instruction of Lord Shri Krishna.
On the day of initiation, you got 5 things. Or if you are first initiated, you got the 3 things. How many of you heard about Panchasanskar? You heard about it. First one is not Dhorini. First one is Tapa. Tapa Pundratata Nama Mantro Yagascha Panchama Amihi Panchasanskaraha Paramekanti Etavaha. On the day of initiation, you got these 5 things. If you are getting the Brahmana also the same day. The first one is Tapa. Means you put the Kandimana, say I am ready to do tapasya. Second one is Pundra, Urdhva Pundra, Tilak. What do you call Tilak is technically known as Urdhva Pundra. The third one is Dasana, that means the servant of Krishna. That is what you got on the day of initiation. Have you wondered why your spiritual man on the day of initiation you got a new neck beads? You already have one, why you should give one? There is a duty on that day, spiritual master is supposed to give you that. Tapa. Heard in the other sampradayas, the long stick, at the end of the stick they have Shankha, Chakra, Mudras. They keep them red hot, they get red hot, and then punch it out. Pus comes out. It becomes red hot. For practically 1 month. Head of the families get the first. When it comes from the children, it is already, it is not hot, it is warm, so you can tolerate. So that is how they give the mudras. That is called tap. Mudra dharana, tap. Because our mother bhajana, so it's all sweet here. Chaitanya, very merciful. The only austerity in our Krishna consciousness is to be humble, that's all. So, these are the Panchasanskara. That is why Brahma initiated tapasya, this thinking. And Tapa, Pundra, Tapa, Nama. And to realize that Nama, your dasana, we require a mantra. And the mantra, when you got the second initiation, that is the time you got the mantra. And yaga, mantro, yaga. Fifth one is the deity. So these are the 5 things you got during initiation. You want more elaborate on that? Many lectures are there. One of the lectures recently I gave in Jew on this. Panchasanskara on a day. Srila Gopal Goswami Maharaj initiated. So recently, you can find it out in Jew. Panchasanskara. Read it.
So Brahmaji was thus initiated by Lord Krishna, and this fact is corroborated by Brahmaji himself in his book, the Brahma Samhita. In the Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma has sung in every verse, Govinda Mani Purusham Ramajana. Thus Brahma was initiated by the Krishna mantra by Lord Krishna himself, and thus he became a Vaishnava, or a devotee of the Lord, before he was able to construct a huge universe. It is stated in Brahma Samhita that Lord Brahma was initiated into the 18th letter Krishna mantra, which is generally accepted by all the devotees of Lord Krishna. We follow the same principle because we belong to the Brahma Sampradaya. Directly the descent succession chain from Brahma to Narad, from Narad to Vyas, from Vyas to Madhavamuni, from Madhavamuni to Madhavendra-puri, from Madhavendra-puri to Ishwar-puri, from Ishwar-puri to Lord Chaitanya, and gradually to His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, our Divine Master. One who is thus initiated in the succession is able to achieve the same result or power of creation. Chanting of this holy mantra is the only shelter of the desireless, pure devotee of the Lord. Simply by such tapasya or penance, the devotee of the Lord achieves all perfections like Lord Brahma.
We read our parampara name, It is Madhva Muni. It is not Madhava. Madhva. Brahma Madhva. He is not Madhavacharya. He is Madhvacharya. Okay. So when Brahma went down, he could only hear these two sounds, ta, pa. Was he knowing the meaning of the pasya? Because at that time there was no Sanskrit language. Language was not created at that time. There was no dictionary. There is no word and a meaning. He just heard the sound. So tapa was the first sound which emanated from the Supreme Lord's mouth. And Brahma would realize the meaning within the heart. And that is why that sound coming from the Supreme Lord directly is known as para. Para Pashyanti Vaikari, Para Pashyanti Madhyama Vaikari. Heard about these terms, 4 levels of sound anytime. So we'll come to know in the Bhagavatam later. There are 4 levels of sound. What we discuss now, is all Vaikari, Vyavahari, where you have word, the meaning, etc. And then there is Madhyama, there is Pashyanti, there is Para. Para means transcendental sound vibrations. And these sound vibrations are they reveal within the heart the meaning. There is nothing like intellectual process of understanding and cognition is not there for that. When you say sound has been defined as the thing which has got Akasha as its gross form. Number 2, it reveals the meaning of an object and it confirms that there is a conscious speaker behind it. You will see that 3rd Canto, 26th chapter, 33rd verse, 3, 26, 33. अर्थाश्रयत्वं शब्दस्य द्रष्टुर्लिंगत्वमेव च तन्मात्रत्वं च नवसो लक्षणं कवयो. शब्दस्य लक्षणं कवयो. शब्दस्य लक्षणं means the qualities of the sound has been described by great scholars in this way. Number 1, arthashrayatvam. It reveals the meaning. Should reveal a meaning. That means there are certain sounds which are made has no meaning. They are not called sounds. It's not called sound. Just see our textbook definition of sound of physics and here. This is called physics. This is called science. Second one is what? Drashtur. What is the English translation for that?
Present form.
Read the translation.
Persons who are learned and who have true knowledge define sound as that which conveys the medium of the object.
And
Persons who are learned and who have true knowledge define sound as that which conveys the idea of an object, indicates the presence of a speaker.
Indicates the presence of a speaker. Speaker means conscious person. So this is how, if you do research on sound, that means you establish consciousness. Once you establish consciousness, the whole science is gone, failure. That is why all the atheistic philosophies who want to say there is no God, no consciousness, they reject ether as an element. They reject ether as an element. So when they did research on sound, and then came to the space and ether, so they had to accept consciousness. So you go to the next verse, purport.
The mind, the senses, and the vital force are living entity, have forms although they are not visible to the naked eye. From them, form rests in subtle existence in the sky, and internally it is perceived as the wings within the body and the circulation of the vital air. Externally, there are invisible forms of sense objects. The production of the invisible sense objects is the external activity of the ethereal element, and the circulation of vital air and blood is its internal activity. That certain forms exist in the ether has been proven by the modern science by transmission of television, by which forms or photographs of one place are transmitted to another place by the action of the ethereal element. That is very nicely explained here. This verse is the potential basis of great scientific research.
This verse is a potential basis of great scientific research.
But it explains how certain forms are generated from the ethereal element.
From the ethereal element. How the subtle forms are generated from the ethereal element. Anyway, I just wanted to bring you to this point, that how modern science, they are all completely stuck up with this point of ether and sound. And they don't know 4 levels of sounds, etc. Okay, next. We're done? Para. 4th is para. That is what Brahma heard.
First one is
Vaikari. Para. You type in your Vedabase, you will get all this. Google is there, Vedabase is there, you are all computer experts. Just type, will get. Bhagavatam talks. Next. Nishamya tadvyaktirtidikshayadisho vilokya tatranyadapashyamana radeshnayannastaya vivrajya tattitam tapas padishta ivadadeva. What is the meaning of tapasya?
voluntarily accepting the
voluntarily intervening.
For the pleasure of rules and regulations.
Okay, there are unlimited meanings of it. But the topmost meaning of the word tapasya is contemplation. Both tapasya है. कल तो बहुत तपस्या है, एकादशी मंजिला है, भीम एकादशी बहुत तपस्या. So whole day you are contemplating on what? When it that 6:32 is going to come, 6:32 a.m. what I am going to eat. All preparations happening properly or not, right? Nonsense this is. Tapasya means contemplate. 1,000 years it is tapasya means contemplate. The Ramayana also starts with this words. Tapasvadhyaya niratam tapasvi vagvidamvaram naradam variprapracha valmikirmunipungavam. So the first word is tapa, ta mangalakaraka. The word tapa refers to mangalachara. Anything which you start with tapasya or tapa is mangalakaraka. That is why whole mangalacharan of Ramayana is in this word tapa. And why? Because this is the first word which is being heard by Brahma, spoken by Krishna. Even before Brahma was initiated into the Veda. Yeah, spiritual tapasya means contemplate on the subject matter.
What did Brahmaji contemplate?
Good question. Contemplate on who is that person who spoke. Who is that person? Who is that person? So went on contemplating. And then contemplation revealed the Supreme Lord.
So you just kept asking him that question.
Yes, who is the person? Who is that person? What is the nature of the
So
person?
that purified him.
Yeah, that
And he
purified.
realized.
So it's like Advaita Brahma Jigyasa.
Yes. And he followed the orders of the Lord. Nishamya tat vyakti. Now we chant the verse. So, Nishamya tat vyakti. After hearing, Nishamya means hearing the words of the Supreme Lord, he saw where did it come from? Which direction came from? Vilokya tatra nyat apashyamanaha. He could not see. He could not see anything else. And then he went to his own abode top of the lotus flower. And Astha, he sat there. Vimrushyatat. He went on contemplating. Tapasya upadishta ivadade manaha. Adade manaha, with great concentration, he started doing meditation. Read the translation.
When he heard the sound, he tried to find the speaker, searching on all sides. But when he was unable to find anyone besides himself, he thought it wise to sit down on his lotus feet firmly and give his attention to the execution of penance, as he was instructed.
So this is see the purpose also.
To achieve success in life, one should follow the example of Lord Brahma, the first living creature at the beginning of creation. After being initiated by the Supreme Lord to execute tapasya, he was fixed in his determination to do it. And although he could not find anyone besides himself, he could rightly understand that the sound was transmitted by the Lord himself. Brahma was the only living being at that time, because there was no other creation, and none could be found there except himself. In the beginning of the first canto, in the first chapter, first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, it has already been mentioned that Brahma was initiated by the Lord from within. The Lord is within every living entity as a super soul, and he initiated Brahma because Brahma was willing to receive the initiation. The Lord can similarly initiate everyone who is inclined to have it. As already stated, Brahma is the original spiritual master for the universe. And since he was initiated by the Lord himself, the message of Srimad Bhagavatam is coming down by disciplic succession, and in order to receive the real message of Srimad Bhagavatam, one should approach the third link of spiritual master in the chain of disciplic succession. After being initiated by the proper spiritual master in that chain of succession, one should engage himself in the discharge of tapasya, in the execution of devotion service. One should not ever think himself on the level of Brahma, to be initiated directly by the Lord from inside, because in the present age, no one can be accepted to be as pure as Brahma. The post of Brahma to appreciate in the creation of the universe is offered to the most pure living being, and unless one is so qualified, one cannot expect to be created like Brahmaji directly. But one can have the same facility through the unaware devotees of the Lord, through the scriptural instructions, as revealed in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam especially, and also through the bona fide spiritual master available to the sincere soul. The Lord himself appears as the spiritual master to the person who is sincere in the heart about serving the Lord. Therefore, the bona fide spiritual master who happens to meet the sincere devotee should be accepted as the most confidential and beloved representative of the Lord. If a person is posted under the guidance of such a bona fide spiritual master, it may be accepted without any doubt that the desiring person has achieved the grace of the Lord.
Divyam sahasraptamogadarshano jitanilakmavito bhayendriya taptasami tapastabiyam tavadam samina samahita. So Brahma Divyam Sahasra Sahasrabdham Amoga Darshanam. So how many years did he did tapasya? Tapatam samahitaha, tapasvinam tapatam samahitaha. He is the greatest of all the meditators. And thousands of years. How did he meditate upon? Jitanilaha, he controlled his life here. Atma Jitatma, controlled his mind. Vijito Bhayendriyaha, Ubhayendriyaha, two kinds of indriyas. What are they? Jnanendriyas. And Atapyata Sami Samakila Lokatapanam. So Lokatapanam means what? He meditated on the person who manifests all the lokas. Akila Lokatapanam. Read. Translation purpose.
Lord Brahma underwent penances for 1000 years by his calculations of the demigods. He heard this transcendental vibration from the sky and he accepted it as divine. Thus he controlled his mind and senses, and the penances he executed were a great lesson for the living entities. Thus he is known as the greatest of all ascetics.
Read the purport.
Purport. Lord Brahma heard the occult sound tapa.
Occult sound. Para. Occult.
Actually, Prabhuji, Christians criticize Hindu practices, occult practices. I heard occult word there.
They are more occult than anybody.
But they tell us all of our practices.
We say they are occult. They say we are occult.
Christianity, all ancient practices are considered as occult practices. Even African tradition, everything is occult.
What tradition they are following in Tantra is also occult only. Our own practices, which are mentioned in the Veda. Just because they change the names, it doesn't matter. Read.
But he did not see the person who vibrated the sound, and still he accepted the instruction as beneficial for him, and therefore he engaged himself in meditation for 1000 celestial years. One celestial year is equal to 6 into 30 into 12 into 1000 of our years. His acceptance of the sound was due to his pure vision of the absolute nature of the Lord, and due to his correct vision, he made no distinction between the Lord and the Lord's instruction. There is no difference between Lord and sound vibration coming from him, even though he is not personally present. The best way of understanding is to accept such divine instruction, and Brahma, the prime spiritual master of everyone, is a living example of this process of receiving transcendental knowledge. The potency of transcendental sound is never minimized because the vibrator is apparently absent. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita or any revealed scripture in the world is never to be accepted as an ordinary mundane sound without transcendental potency. One has to receive the transcendental sound from the right source, accept it as a reality, and prosecute the direction without hesitation. The secret of success is to receive the sound from the right source of the bona fide spiritual master. Mundane manufactured sound has no potency, and as such, seemingly, transcendental sound received from an unauthorized person also has no potency. One should be qualified enough to discern such transcendental potency, and either by discriminating or by fortunate chance, if one is able to receive the transcendental sound from the bona fide spiritual master, his path of liberation is guaranteed. The disciple, however, must be ready to execute the order of the bona fide spiritual master as Lord Brahma executed the instruction of his spiritual master, the Lord himself. Following the order of the bona fide spiritual master is the only duty of the disciple, and this completely faithful execution of the order of the bona fide spiritual master is the secret of success. Lord Brahma continued his 2 grades of senses by means of sense perception and sense organs, because he had to engage the senses in the execution of the order of Lord.
Therefore, controlling the senses means engaging them in transcendental service of the Lord. The Lord's order descends in disciplic succession through the bona fide spiritual master, and thus execution of the order of bona fide spiritual master is factual control of the senses. Such execution of penance is in full faith and sincerely made Brahman is so powerful that he became the creator of the universe. And because he was able to attain such power, he is called best among all the tapasvis.
Okay, so we stop here. We have class tomorrow. The brahmacharis want to chant, so we can have class with brahmacharis tomorrow. Tomorrow is continued from here. How Brahma, Krishna reveals his form in Vaikuntha, and Brahma prays, and ultimately Chatushloki is spoken. That will continue.
He comes in dream and then
instructs him.
So from whom he takes the Jiva goes because in the first initial slokas of Chaitanya Charitamrita, he said Goswami, he mentioned.
They are the original spiritual masters.
Krishna Guru.